Okay, it's me. Hey, it's Rob. I figured this would be interesting. I was fixing to cook a little something to eat, and I was going to have some chili dogs, hot dogs with chili, mustard, that kind of stuff. Even though it's kind of an off-brand chili, they make good chili dogs. It's got beans in it. It shouldn't have beans, but it does. But I didn't have any Wolf brand, so I was less excited. But while I was looking up there in the can racks, can cupboard, whatever you want to call it, I found some clam chowder, and I had seen it before but forgot about it. And this clam chowder happens to be from about 2012. In fact, the 8th of July, 2012 is when they said that you should eat it by, which means it's a little older than that. So that makes this a 12.5-year-old can of soup. I think it's going to be okay. Got a little rust on top of it. Not bad. I washed it off. It had some sticky stuff on here. I don't think it was anything out of this can. It's got a good dent in the side of it. I don't know if you can see that, but pretty good mashed in spot. If I remember right, I believe this was a can that rode around in my truck for 3 or 4 years. I always, because I want to be ready, just in case something happens. And I don't even mean like apocalypse or anything like that. I mean just in case I got stranded somewhere, stuck out on a job site somewhere for a day or two or whatever, and don't want to go hungry. I've got a few cans of food in there that ride around. In fact, if you go back in the history of my videos, boy, and some of the people on here will remember this. We did an expired food challenge 10 years ago, maybe not that long. Nah, probably not that long. 10 before, nah, it wouldn't have been that long. Maybe 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, something like that. It was before the accident, and when we were still having some fun. But good grief, Savage Survival got in on it. I can't even remember who all other, 2 or 3 other guys. I'm not going to try to call everybody's name. There are a bunch of people that got in on it and did response videos where they found an old can of something or something that was old and not very good, and ate it anyway just to show you could, and it was a lot of fun. Man, that was a good time. I may have to fire that up again, although a couple of those guys, one guy had a can of dog food that had been, good grief, a can of canned dog food that had been in his truck for a while, and yeah, he ate a couple of bites of that, and it was awful. Another guy had some crackers that had gone rancid, some saltine crackers that I can't even imagine how nasty they were, but he ate them anyway. Oh, man. So anyway, we're going to do a little heat 'em up and eat 'em up here. And I may not keep you on the whole time it's heating, but sounds good. It's not all one big glob in there, so I think it's okay. I washed the top of it real good, so it got the rusty spot. I'm not worried about rust. You can eat a little rust. That's not going to hurt a guy. I heard it hiss when I opened it just then. Here, we can't see nothing here. Let me turn. Y'all know I'm not always real good at this. There we go. Give me a sip of this. Yeah, a little antioxidants there. So, we'll open that. Oh, that smells good. It smells good. Hope it doesn't have a tin can taste. I'm going to lick the lid. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going to be fine. I can already tell. That's not going to be much fun, is it? Because I can already tell it's good. So, as I figure out where I am here, I have to look at the back of the camera so I can see. We're going to pour it in. Yep, very liquid. It's actually a little more liquid than it probably should, but that's probably at least partly. I'm giving it the sniff test. It's probably more liquid than it should be, but at least partly because it did ride in the truck. It did. It rode on the floorboard, back seat of my pickup for a couple of years anyway, before it came out. I've got a new batch of food in there now. We're going to get this started heating up over there. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, good enough. Good enough. Yeah, I need to find a plastic spoon because Happy Hair's gone, so I can eat what I want to eat. It's not what I want. Here we go, wooden spoon. That's the ticket. That's the ticket. This way I don't scratch her one of her nice pans. She would get unhappy about that. Yeah, I wish it was thicker. I like it when it's thicker, but it don't have to be thick. We're going to add a little bit of milk to it. Really don't need to add milk. Usually I add milk to thin it down and just make it go further. So I'm only going to put a splash in there. Get the last bit of goodie out of it. Now, one thing I want to do, I want to get an actual, I had right there. Get a spoonful of this before it gets too hot to eat, and just have a, ooh, I used the metal, didn't I? Haha. Hey, there was a piece of a clam. I want that. Man, that fire's hot. Yeah, good. One of the things I was worried about is when something sits in a can for a long time, sometimes it'll develop that kind of a metallic taste that you can pick up sometimes on the back end of I'm talking about bourbon, but a little metallic taste on the back end that doesn't really hurt anything, but it's not good. It's kind of yucky. All right, put this back in the refrigerator. It'll last longer. Another sip of vitamin B or vitamin W. And I'll tell you a little quick story too while that's heating up. Like I say, I probably won't keep you on here the whole time it's heating because that's not very exciting. This right here, I don't know if you saw that sitting here. This is just kind of a cool thing. Stubbs. If you're not from Texas, you probably never heard of this guy. And of course, I'm not going to be able to think of his real name now. But he used to have a barbecue place in Lubbock. And I think I think he's deceased now and gone, sadly. But and now I think this outfit, whatever rights that still makes the stuff of his, is down in Austin now. Blah. But it's Austin. But Stubbs is just kind of a neat history. It was a Lubbock joint from back in the 70s, may have started in the 60s. I'm not sure. I think it started in the early 70s though, and was kind of immortalized and made famous by a country and western song. I don't know if y'all like it. We got both kinds of music around here, country and western. And hey, I should turn that down. That's going to get too hot too fast. There we go. That's better. But a songwriter and singer named Tom T. Hall is the guy that did it. And the name of the song was The Great East Broadway Onion Championship of 1978. Kind of a long name for a song, but it's a fun song to listen to. If you don't know who Tom T. Hall is, if you like that kind of music at all, he was some of the original Texas scene music, and some of the guys from the original Texas scene used to hang out at Stubbs Barbecue over there in Northeast Lubbock. And it wasn't a fancy place, just kind of some people referred to it just kind of a rundown place, but it was just, it's not there anymore. How sad, man. That would be like a bucket list Hall of Fame kind of a place right now. But, it got torn down to make way for development and that kind of crap. But, a lot of the guys, the Texas music scene, if you don't know what that is, if you've ever heard Buddy Holly, Mac Davis, both of those guys are from Lubbock, so it's not uncommon to find people from Lubbock. But they were like the early, and then later in the 70s when outlaw country music was the thing, Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings, who Waylon is actually from right here at Littlefield, but spent a lot of time DJing and doing stuff at Lubbock. Big history there. But as the outlaw country music gave way to the Texas scene, there were guys like Lyle Lovett. A lot of y'all probably know who that is. Gary P. Nunn. If you don't know who Gary P. Nunn is, you probably do. If you've ever heard of a show called Austin City Limits, it's the theme song, or even if you hadn't heard of that, you've probably heard. It's the I Want to Go Home to the Armadillo song. The actual name of the song is London Homesick Blues. Supposedly he wrote it while he was over in England doing a tour over there, I guess. But that's where that came from. And then, of course, there was Jerry Jeff Walker and Ray Wiley Hubbard, and to an extent, even Michael Martin Murphey could be considered in with that, too. And there's a bunch of other guys, and, of course, I can't think of any of them. But Joe Ely was the guy that happened to be there at Stubbs that night, and him and Tom T. Hall got into a pool match, and that's what the song's all about, where they decided to change it up a little bit and they used an onion and broomsticks. An onion for the cue ball and broomsticks for pool cues. And I wasn't there. This was, I think it was in 1978. I was just out of high school then. I was in college. But I wasn't there that night. How sad. Good grief, just my luck. I wish I had been there that night. That would have been a cool thing. Just, bragging rights. But I wasn't, and so it doesn't matter. Anyway, I thought y'all might like that story. We're going to stir this a little more. Oop, yep, trying to stick already. Now that it's hot. It is hot. I don't like my food real hot. I mean, I like it warm, I guess. Get another taste of it. Yeah. Yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with that. So, if I set that there, it'll catch on fire. Anyway, so, yeah, Stubbs Barbecue. Lubbock, Texas. And, yeah, 12-year-old Progresso clam chowder. And it's still fine. I always say it, don't be afraid to eat something that's a little bit old. It's probably still okay, and it's a good thing to know if times ever get tough. Just because it's got a date on it, that doesn't mean it's an expiration and it goes bad by that date. That's just a date when it's best by, and I'm sure it would have been a lot better 12 and a half years ago, but it's going to be just fine tonight. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope y'all have a good time. Tell